Yo, I just saw that episode. That shit is wild, bruh.
What you doing to me? I'm going to have to take a Valium before every show and remember to breathe. I was getting so dizzy from all the twists and turns and storyline changes, and I figure out who's who and what's going on, and oh yeah, I need to breathe.
I have so many emotions right now.
Alpha better die next episode, bruh.
Welcome back to another episode of Talk Dead to Me, the only Walking Dead podcast with the guts to start at season 10. I am your host, Johnny Odell. I'm the social media manager for The Walking Dead. With me, as always, our Alexandria August. She is our amazing podcast producer. Also, we got Woody Tondorf. He is our Skybound Games producer. We are all together for this, I told you last week, one of the best episodes, or one of my favorite episodes of the season, Stalker.
Real good.
Real good. You spoke the truth. No lies detected.
I've spoken to God, and he said that this is a pretty good episode.
Grade A.
That is a good callback, and I can't wait to get to that moment a little bit later. And also, a quick shout out to all those people who send in voicemails for the top of the show and for the back of the show. But we really appreciate it, guys. It was a little new format we were trying out, and we are loving it. So thank you for sending those in. All right, so for this week's episode, obviously, we are going to be talking about The Walking Dead episode 1010 in 2020. After this, I'm going to watch a 30 for 30, and we are going to play a new game called Winners or Losers, pretty self-explanatory. We're going to listen to some voicemails, do some ship watch, and a little later, we're going to be talking to our man, the myth, the legend, the cobbler king himself, Cooper Andrews.
Sweet Jerry!
Sweet Jerry, who is still alive, including the name of Jerry and Nabila's kids, which until now I don't think were revealed. If they were, then don't tell me, because I want to think I got an exclusive.
I can't. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to learn the names of those precious kittens.
Those little cubbies. You know what? I don't want to know the names because when my sweet Jerry is inevitably off, I don't want to think about those three little cherubs who are left fatherless.
Oh my gosh, what if one of them is a girl and her name is Shiva?
The Walking Dead is a cruel, cruel place.
All right, well, one of them is a girl because we've seen the kids several times. I don't know what you're talking about. These aren't like mysterious kids.
I don't pay attention to silent children on The Walking Dead, okay? I have bigger fish to fry.
They're very cute. All right.
Don't get too attached to kids in The Walking Dead, I guess is the lesson
Also
that we're
that.
taking.
And folks, if you could please rate and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to us. If you want to tell your friends about us, you could say that we are available on all major platforms. And follow us on social media. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us at tdtm@skybound.com.
So now let's get on to the episode with our brand new segment, Winners and Losers.
Ew.
All right, so we all have winners and losers from this episode, which had two major storylines, obviously. We had Daryl and Alpha doing their weird sort of dance in this abandoned gas station. Simultaneously, we have Beta infiltrating Alexandria in the most horrifying way.
Coming up like a fucking boss. Oh my God.
Who dug that hole?
Like a periscope. Like a periscope.
More like Parasite.
The level of precision where like he comes up directly through the grave. Can we talk? Because
he shook hands with Dante on the way up. Like that was specific.
Yeah, he just kind of pushed the body to the side.
Wait, so did Dante dig this grave like at night while no one's watching?
Wait, are we sure that it was Dante's grave in all seriousness?
Yeah, no, they
so
say
it wasn't Sadiq's?
Two Alexandria guys walk past and like he came out of Dante's grave.
Oh,
and that just seems like a very specific place, and like, how was that planned?
Well, Johnny and I definitely, when we first watched the episode, talked about the fact that clearly, that it definitely seemed possible to me that Dante could have been in his trips in and out of Alexandria and leaving notes and trees and blah, blah, blah. Part of his plan was to work out, like, giving them internal information to say,
absolutely.
Come up through here. This is the graveyard. It'll be easy because, like, it'll be easier for you to climb up, blah, blah, blah. And it's here. It's the closest to the wall, blah, blah, blah. That it seems like it was probably just a really good shot on The Walking Dead to have him come through not just any open grave, Dante's open grave.
I'm picturing like Beta like digging through the first time and it's perfectly like green grass and he just kind of pops his head through and be like, no, this won't do. And then like comes back, smooths it over a little bit, like his hands are scrubbing around, and then comes through the Dante grave and he's like, perfect.
Also, why does Dante have a grave in Alexandria, and why is there a cross marking it? Like, shouldn't he, like, they literally burned his body, so I guess that answers my question of, like, did he, like, dig around the body? No, the body was burned, so maybe it's just, like, a sentimental grave? I don't Are we sure this is Dante's grave?
I think it was, quote, good television.
Okay. I think Greg Nicotero just wanted that image of a hand like coming out of a grave and someone like leaping through it. And I think we might be thinking...
On a classic zombie show. I mean, that's pretty... I think that's neat. Like on a...
Oh, it's very cool.
Like as part... Like just a great hat tip to early zombie genre.
Even though I brought this up, I think we probably are thinking too hard about this and they're like, this is just happening.
This is just really fucking cool.
This is a show about zombies. Shut the fuck up.
This was definitely, I felt like, a very stylized horror movie of an episode. This felt like a slasher film. It felt like Halloween or Scream, like a stalker film of some kind from 70s, 80s.
Hence the title. And I think that
derp.
And that gets played across two different levels. Like Beta has his whole like amazing like murder spree through Alexandria, and then at the same time you have the unseen specter in the woods, which is Daryl, just fucking sniping and like surprising and generally Assassin's Creeding his way like through this whole like Whisper group, including Alpha's like whole protective detail, which like those dudes, I mean, they died, but they would not be promoted.
Out of fucks. Daryl is now where Carol was, I feel like 8 months ago, or not 8 months ago, like 4 days ago, or whatever. I don't know. Whenever poor Henry was found on the stake.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl and Carol both shooting their shot this season, and both unsuccessful.
Yeah, I was going to say both with mixed results.
So who's winning and who's losing?
Exactly. So for my big winner this episode, I got to go with Gamma. I honestly think that, I mean, she starts off the episode, she's in the council, no one really trusts her. Rosita punches her in the face.
Oh my God, that was great.
Gabe has the best line where she's like, what is God telling you? And she's like, God's telling me to hang you.
He says literally, I've spoken to God. He told me to hang you.
Yeah.
I've spoken to God. He told me to hang you.
That's Jim Barnes was the writer of this episode, folks. Jim Barnes with the winning dialogue for season 10.
After he informs her that she would be the third person to die in that cell.
Yeah, I love the rotating door of... I love the revolving door of cellmates. They have literally only one cell... Wait, no, they don't. Because they have... Wait, did they?
Well, there's cells
they don't because...
Hilltop.
That was Hilltop,
has,
right?
like a row of them.
Yeah.
Right. So Alexandria only has one cell, and yet they've somehow had 20 prisoners this season.
Look, Negan could go back and forth out of that cell whenever he wanted to, and then as soon as you put Whisperers in there, that place was a death box.
Yeah, it is not a good place for Whisperers.
Losers, Whispers, and that's all.
But despite Gamma being in the cell and Beta nearly killing her when he finally got there, I mean, she was able to help save, Judith and RJ. Sweet Judith and RJ. Mm-hmm. She got taken out of Alexandria, basically kidnapped. She somehow found her way back. Well, she didn't find her way back. Hold on. Sorry. I'm remembering Gabe took her back. So she was in Alexandria. She saved Sweet Judith and RJ. She got out of Alexandria to get Beta out. Beta ran away. Gabe brought her back. And then now everyone trusts Gamma. And
she's got a girlfriend in Rosita.
She's got a great... I know. And then Rosita's like, by the way, I'm Rosita. And this is after Rosita punched her in the face like 12 hours earlier.
Cold cocked her, too. That was a sucker punch.
Gamma went from, I'm going to hang... What is it? What is it?
I've spoken to God. He told me to hang you.
Yeah, so Gamma went from that to now she's friends with Rosita, and she's like a mole, and she can spill all the Whisperer tea for everyone. So Gamma definitely had, I think, in my opinion, the best episode, and she is my winner.
So Gamma has the right instincts to go and start coming clean about all of this stuff. And to her credit, when Gabe threatens her with Queen of Darkness Rosita. So Gamma has I agree, has a full transformation, and she does talk her way out of a couple of these bits, when she talks to Gabe and Rosita when they are full on threatening her. Again, these are the good guys. But she kind of falls ass backwards into all of this success where and now they're gonna she's now aboard with the group. Her name is now Mary. She's she has a whole backstory where she talks to Judith about it. She has a BFF. But all of the stuff that she tells them now is worthless.
Right.
The herd has now moved. It's out of the cave. We see Alpha taking a whole bunch of them out of the cave, so I assume the whole horde is moving. All the information and intel that she gave them is essentially butt kiss now.
Well, maybe that's why we got such a good character arc from her this episode. Just her story in and of itself, Thora Birch is a testament to Thora Birch's talent, because this episode we really saw her wrestle with admitting her culpability in her sister's death and how far she's let Alpha get to her, what she sacrificed in order to stay safe and alive, which, I mean, just the cleanliness issue alone is quite a lot beyond the actual fact that she helped kill her sister, did kill her sister in some circles. So I think we saw her wrestle with that. And then we saw her kind of gain the courage when she sort of just lived in her truth and just stepped in her truth and stood in her truth, that when Beta comes into the cell to try and either intimidate her or grab her, whatever. I forget.
Well, she had to bring her.
Yeah, she was supposed to come in alive.
Her to Alpha alive. Yeah.
Yeah, and she stands up to him and manages to get away thanks to the help of a now dead savior. We think likely, and then
Laura,
when she's helping Judith. Thank you, Laura. When she's helping Judith and RJ when she's helping Rosita in that house, it's just she literally lays down her life for them and says, "Okay, she wants me alive, and I'll fucking kill myself if you don't let them go."
Yeah, because as far as she knows, like, she is going to go back, and she can't possibly assume that, like, Gabe and the group are still going to be in the woods to go and get her. So, like, yeah, I mean, I take it back. She doesn't fall ass backwards in it. She is in control of her own journey through that.
I would say, like, I think I could see that feeling a little prosaic or a little contrived because so much happens in one episode. Were it not for Thora Birch's, very impressive abilities and able to tell that story in a measured, well-paced way.
And we'll also get to this a little bit later, but she made friends with Judith, and we got a little backstory from Gamma, knowing she's from California, and that...
Santa Monica specifically.
Yep, and somehow found her way to Virginia, where Alpha made slight work of her brainwashing. And, yeah, so, you really started sympathizing with Gamma this episode. And, yeah, what are your guys' winners and losers?
Wait, what was your loser?
Oh, yeah, who's your loser?
Oh, my loser is, let me just, here. Oh, and so for my loser for this week is medical science in general. This is mostly because Daryl and Alpha both collectively lost about a gallon of blood each, and yet they somehow survived hours and hours and hours and through the night and somehow woke up and, that's fine. And they're fine.
Alpha feels like it maybe like she was definitely at the hallucinatory stage.
Oh, she's tripping hard.
Which is interesting because I feel like she lost way less blood than Daryl, who looks like when he tore that knife out fairly early in the game was splitting some femoral artery blood.
Oh my god. The blood spurt as he first of all violates rule number 1 of if you have a puncture wound, don't take it out.
He didn't have any other choice.
No, and that's true. And that he did really think about that. But once it's out, that dude is dead within minutes, not hours. And he is there overnight practically. And he's still fine.
And he's in Daryl's clothes, which I haven't seen a laundry machine, I don't think, ever. So and then you mentioned Woody the Branch with...
Yeah, both of those wounds are incredibly infected. The moment that he puts the branch into the shoulder wound, I was like, well, that's just gangrenous immediately. You have blood poisoning. These people are dead within weeks.
Yeah, and you said Alpha was hallucinating. I thought Lydia was a hallucination, but it turns out, no, she actually did somehow find them and then rescued Daryl over her own mother.
Oh,
and
man.
In Succession, well, I guess not like Succession. And then, Alpha's ready to give her the company, and Lydia's like, I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm good. I'm going to save Daryl. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I do not want any stock options.
But first, while you're unconscious, I'm just going to scratch out this message to you just in case you thought I was a hallucination, just so you know. Also, Daryl's completely bleeding out, but I still have 5 minutes to carve this thing out.
Yeah, Daryl's I'm seconds from death. Have you ever tried to carve something? I did this once with a ex where we were on a hike, and I thought it would be cute because I saw it in a movie to carve our initials into a tree. Yeah. It took 20 minutes. It's not
hard.
Easy. Yeah. And she wrote out a
Trees
full
don't
paragraph.
want to be carved.
No. Yeah, that's both of those people should. And honestly, I was in this being logic dictates that both of these characters are going to die here in this space. But I know that they're both going to walk out of this totally fine. You're not going to.
That was, yeah.
Did you for an instant think that both Alpha and Daryl were going to expire that repair shop?
I don't know. They really did play up Alpha.
Yeah, I thought maybe this is how Alpha was going to die. And that is in part informed by the fact that she dies pretty abruptly in the comics, as we've discussed. But I was very happy and not super surprised to see that she lived.
That would have been super disappointing if she died.
It looks fair. It looks like she had some kind of spiritual transformation, though. So I wonder if now she's just going to be even crazier and even more ruthless because she's in her head, she's dead and she's let go of Lydia and she's transcended to a new level of something.
Oh, yeah. We are in it's in the old video games when you beat the boss and you're like, oh, okay, but why hasn't the boss music stopped? And then like bigger version that is like blinking red and purple like comes out and you're like, oh, okay.
Why hasn't the boss music stopped?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, Woody, who is your winner of this episode?
The winner, I think, to me is what?
We do me because I'll go quickly through the fact that Gabe is a boss and that my loser,
sure.
and then because I think Beta is the center, like the Beta is really the sort of set piece of this episode.
Yeah, and since like the losers are the people in like the extras house, then
yeah,
like,
perfect. Okay.
Sure. All right, Alexandra, who are your winners and losers for this episode?
Well, I spoke to God, and God told me that obviously my choice was Gabriel.
This bit has to keep going through like the rest of the series.
We have a new segment called I Spoke to God, and here's what he told me. I love people who are like,
There
oh
are
yeah, God told me
non-negotiables.
something. I was like, really? What does his voice sound like exactly?
They'll tell you. They've worked it out.
All right.
Anyway, so yeah, Gabriel. I have not been. This was the episode that I became a Gabriel stan, and I'll likely be that until he dies in like 2 weeks, I'm sure. But
absolutely.
Gabriel's been not one of my favorite characters, but certainly one of the most complex and interesting characters on The Walking Dead for season after season, given his position as sort of representative of what a religion looks like after it's been hit by an apocalypse, and what a coward looks like, and what mental illness looks like. And he's just been on a bunch of different journeys, and now to see him finally settle through all that mania and fear into just a seasoned, I'm gonna fuck you up leader. My heart sings. He is terrifying. He is major. He is Gabriel.
Sorry, I've got to. I don't mean to step over you, but I got to talk about Gabe and the things that he's said in this episode, where he is spiraling into full-on maniac. Like Jack Bauer would be like, "Pump the brakes, dude." He's saying like, "They're cowards. Pull out their teeth. Start cutting off fingers." And I'm like, "Who is this guy?"
Rosita's like, "Hi, excuse me," and Gabe's like, "What?"
She's like, remember when we stood by the fire and stared into like the corpse of Dante and like we kind of held hands and like had this lovely moment? That was in the past. Who the shit are you?
All right, so while I see your point, Alexandra and Woody, I would actually put Gabe in the losers column because, I mean, he got in a fight with Rosita, and his whole like recklessness is he's kind of being like male Carol this season, and copyright me right now, male Carol. I mean, he is getting too reckless. I mean, when he killed Dante, I mean, we all agreed that's fine. Yes. It's okay with that. We're okay with that. But, he led like most of his like troops out of Alexandria, which left Alexandria completely vulnerable. And he got a lot of people killed. I mean, they were highwaymen, so who cares?
Yeah, I'm gonna argue with you on this one actually, because like he got bamboozled, yes, but like the plan was sophisticated and he did exactly the right thing that like nobody could have guessed. That was a
that someone was going to crawl out of a grave?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How could you have like foreseen that? He did exactly the thing that he thought he was supposed to do. And of the people that he lost, like what? He lost a house full of highwaymen? Okay, well, that's Tuesday.
Also, shout out to the fans who thought that like, because they saw the promo of the arm like coming out of the grave. Yeah. A lot of people thought that was Cheryl, coming back from the dead.
Oh my God.
She's the one that Dante, even though she was like on the precipice of death, decided to suffocate with a pillow. And I actually would have loved that like alternate storyline where like Cheryl comes back and like enacts her revenge.
That would be amazing. Look, that looks like a Cheryl cross. That cross put by that.
I
still don't understand why Dante has a cross next to his grave.
A big one.
I mean, everybody knew that Dante was Jewish.
Yeah. Okay, so who would be your loser, Alexandra?
The people inside the house.
Oh, those poor extras.
Oh my goodness, we hardly knew you, nameless male duo who got an extra 5 minutes of screen time, which confirmed their deaths.
So we saw them in the first half of season 10 when they're making their plea that Negan should die because they are part of the Highwaymen, and they made that plea in the council to Gabriel at night, and they're like, Negan should definitely die. So they still don't have names, as far as I know.
More Highwaymen. Oh god, these guys are just the losers. Oh jeez.
Okay, they were friends with Margot, who we all agree is the worst.
No, here's why there's no sympathy for these guys, because like they go out of their way to be like, don't feel sad when we murder them, because you have that one asshole guy who's like, hey, they're not so bad. Remember when we beat up a teenage girl? Like, you could probably take them one-on-one. Be like, oh, right.
Oh,
these
that's right. They did
motherfuckers.
do that. Yeah.
Kill them twice.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, still losers all. That said,
Yes,
though,
they
the
lost their
shot of them with Beta in the background, just as they part ways and Beta just turns off the light. Like, ooh, again, this was an excellent horror movie, you guys.
It was fantastically directed.
No, honestly, between last week's episode with the cave, which again, like they are ratcheting up the horror of that every single time you were through it. Like they are really pushing the horror bona fides through this one. This is a legitimately scary half of the season.
And also the director that you mentioned, Johnny, her name is Bronwyn Hughes.
Ooh.
And she directed an episode. She's directed Preacher before. She directed a bunch of stuff on AMC, right?
Oh, yeah, sure.
She did a fantastic job with this episode, and she or somebody in the camera department has absolutely played the Modern Warfare level clean house, because that is what Beta goes through when he's searching for Judith.
For sure. All right. Woody, I am excited to hear who is your winner.
Well, to kind of springboard off of Alexandria's, the losers are the red shirts in the extra house. It's Beta.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, he executes his plan perfectly. He looks incredible. Every moment is just terrifying. And then, like my favorite moment through all of it, he gets all of those highwaymen, and then he just unfurls his jacket or his coat like a cape and sits there in like a yoga pose and just waits for these people to turn. And that shit was chilling and awesome as hell.
But to your point about him like kneeling down among the dead, like that was religious.
Amazing shot.
It was beautiful. And it was so like got kudos to Ryan Hurst, who is slaughtering this character, no pun intended, without the benefit of his own face.
This is the white quarterback from Remember the Titans. How the hell?
I loved the moment where he's going after Gamma. Gamma manages to escape. I guess R.A.P. Lauren or Laura.
Laura.
I'm not. But to that, and to go back to the thing I was saying, the whoever shot or the director like clearly had like seen at least a YouTube video of somebody playing the clean house mission in Modern Warfare, because as he's going through, like you could hear like almost like Bravo 6 moving to the second floor type bit as he's like going through, and to wit, he gets shot through the door by Judith, which like the couple nitpicks through the episode, it's fine, but like was Judith not raised to double tap?
I know when she walked out with she looked actually scared, which like, okay, I allow for the fact that Judith is occasionally scared. It only makes her cuter. But sure. I'm sorry, the Judith Grimes I know would have walked right up to that motherfucker and gone pop, pop, pop right afterwards.
I don't know. I mean, she's through a door. I mean, this man is like 10 times larger than her. I mean, she was doing her best. And also, she had RJ with her. Like, she's probably trying to play this
Well,
safe.
then why didn't Gamma do it? Gamma should have taken that gun and just been like, boom, boom, boom. Like,
I
guys,
guess in that moment's more kind of
he's
like,
not moving.
Shit.
This is your opportunity.
Well, they probably didn't do that because we still have, 8 episodes left or 6 episodes left. Again, nitpicky. Judith, when she shot that giant gun,
that hand cannon,
I was expecting sort of like the same thing from like Men in Black, where Will Smith had the cricket and he's like this little thing, and then he like flies back like 40 feet. That probably should have happened, but it's fine. I'm just glad that we got to see RJ because we never really get to see him.
Yeah, we were joking earlier today that like all I want to see is Judith shoot that giant gun, and then like just for fun, like a wire gag of her just like flying through the air like in an arc like 10 feet, but of course like landing on her feet like a cat immediately afterwards. She'd be like, and then she shoots it 3 more times. Yeah, it's like how she escapes from zombies. She shoots, flies 10 feet backwards, shoots again, flies another 10 feet.
So Woody, who's your loser?
My loser is Baby Coco.
Oh, why?
So Rosita is like, here, I'm scared for the baby. I've got to move on. And she leaves Coco in the arms of the most violent, unhinged man in all of the communities right now. Also a priest. Stabby Gabe. Like, who's the guy
also her boyfriend?
Yeah, but like, do I want to leave my baby with the guy who like hours ago was like, tear off their teeth, pull out their fingers?
To be fair, Rosita was legit concerned about Gabe's mental state, like not 20 minutes before this instance. So I kind of
right over.
I'm sort of with Woody on the like that maybe wasn't Rosita's best plan.
I've got a quick little not nitpicky thing, but just like a little detail that I noticed, and I want to see if you guys heard it.
Sure.
When Beta turns the walkers or turns the extras, and then the walkers start showing up, Rosita sees them and says, "They're on Morgan Street." Did anybody hear that?
I didn't.
I think she exactly says like it's on Morgan Street, and I'm wondering what other characters got street names. Like, is there a Rick Boulevard? Is there
Not
like
Lizzie?
Yeah, like who didn't make the cut? Who was like,
Sorry,
man,
Lizzie.
Abraham Avenue, but we ran out of streets. You know, Glen Boulevard cuts through it. I don't know.
Tyrese Trail.
Yeah, exactly. Tyrese Court. I don't know. Like,
Pelletier Turnpike.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but as we saw in the trailer for next week's episode, it looks like we are finally going to war.
At last.
I mean, we got shields from the beach. We got arrows. We got Negan in a mask. I mean, shit is going to go down next week. And it's. I know I said 10-10 was one of my favorites of this season, but 10-11, another favorite. It's great. It's fantastic. The action is great, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. All right, so now we're going to go on to our voicemails. This week we asked you guys on Twitter if you ship Negan and Alpha, and oh boy, did you guys have some hot takes. All right, so now on to voicemails.
Do I ship Negan and Alpha? God, no. What? No. God, no. What is wrong with you? No.
Voice of reason, anonymous voicemail person. Yes, you've made the cut. It is weird and strange.
No, I do not ship Negan and Alpha because there can only be one badass. But thank you very much for showing us half of Negan's cute butt. Thanks.
It is kind of a cute butt, isn't it? Actually, I have a weird question, Alexandra, that only Johnny and I were talking about this a couple weeks ago. Is a bare male butt in like TV or film the equivalent of like boobs to guys?
I think it depends on whether or not you're asking an ass lady, which for an ass lady, maybe. For me, not usually no.
Yeah.
Usually I'm like, oh, you don't look the way I think you do under those pants. Shit.
Well, that'll be our next voicemail question.
Hi, this is Nicholas Acevedo from New Jersey. I have a few things to say about Negan and Alpha. First of all, I think Alpha misunderstood when she heard Negan has a big bat. And two, I'm wondering if Negan knows he's got more than a shoe in on the Whisperers. And three, hell yeah, why not? Go for it. I ship them.
I feel like Nick is that very supportive friend at the bar where he's like, I've met this girl. She's kind of nice. She leads an enclave of people who are more animal than person. They wear dead skins and they smell terrible. And occasionally they push me into a latrine. And Nick's like, hey, man.
She was really focused on me.
I like that journey for you. I support you. Go and find love. Open your heart.
I like you.
Hey, this is Crystal Strong in Louisiana, and I absolutely do not ship Alpha and Negan. That was like the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not sure what was the worst part, if it was the kiss, which was just gross, or the socks, which are almost as bad. But Negan is awesome and could do way better than Creeper McCreepster. So, have a good night, guys. Bye.
First of all, I don't think Negan could do better than our Lord and Savior Samantha Morton, but as we've correctly surmised, Negan was having sex with Alpha. And yeah, that kiss, man, you could taste her mask watching that.
Think about the tongue play in that kiss as well. Like, that like Alpha is just like darting it like in and out all over the place.
How dare you?
That can't be a good kiss.
I was calling about Negan and Alpha, and I don't like it, but a man gotta do what a man gotta do. So, there you go. Thank you.
Eloquent, concise. I think she said it all.
Yeah, I think she and Nick need to hang out in the New Jersey bar and like just generally give like pretty good relationship advice to Walking Dead characters.
Yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah.
A man got to do what a man. She's like, you know what? Yep, it's gross. Is it morally wrong? Sure is. Man got to do what a man got to do.
Sometimes you got to stick it in.
Yes, thank you guys so much for sending in those voicemails. I think we hit a record for how many you guys sent in. If we didn't get to yours, I'm very sorry. We prioritized the ones that were just a little bit shorter and concise, but the longer messages we still enjoyed listening to. If you guys want to be included in next week or future voicemails, all you have to do is call 213-536-1275 and leave us a voicemail. Also, we are doing additional voicemails, as you heard at the top of this show. Same number. If you have AMC Premiere and you can watch the episode early, anytime, like late Friday, early Saturday. If you could send in a quick 10-second reaction, you might be starting the show next week. So highly recommend you do that.
Late Friday is preferred. Listen, we're just like you. We try to have a weekend, and if you're putting the stuff in on Saturday morning, we'll look at them, we'll listen to them, but they better be gold.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're going to get on to our guest of the week, Cooper Andrews. I can't wait for you guys to listen to this one. Sweet Jerry. He is such a delight. I had a great time interviewing him. He's as nice as you'd want him to be,
Oh, let's get into it. I can't wait.
Roll it, Past Johnny.
All right, our guest this week plays Jerry on The Walking Dead. He also makes a mean cobbler and knows karate. Cooper Andrews, how's it going, man?
Good. How are you doing, knows karate?
That's what our crack research team was able to pull up, is that you are a karate master. Is that true?
No, I don't know.
Well, they're all fired.
Any karate, but I know kung fu. I'm a kung fu guy. I know a lot of weapons.
Last week we spoke with Angel, and she was telling us about sort of the craziness about the logistics of the cave and all those scenes that you guys did there, or at least in the studio, that made it look like a cave. What was your experience?
Oh, geez. See, my experience was we all had something. All of us had something going on while we were filming that. I mean, I had just had I had just finished up surgery like a few weeks prior, so I was able to move and I was able to do what was required, but it was still like using muscles I hadn't been able to use for pretty much like 4 or 5 months. So it was more intense for me than it should have been. But I mean, it really gets you in. It really gets you into it because there's this one. The cave is rough. It was it's all that quick concrete stuff, and it looked great, but it hurt. You slipped. And then I had to take my contacts out at one point. There's this point where I'm like using the sword to chop off an arm. And I had to take my contacts off because of all the sand and dirt that was just getting into the eyes. And without being able to see, it's really blurry for me. Except I have my eyes are like a really nice lens. They just can see right in front of it and nothing behind it. So I had to do this sword thing, but when I took my glasses off, it didn't account to how unlevel that spot was. So I wasn't able to see the detail of the floor. So I was like, don't fall. And if I do, these walkers will catch me. It will be weird, but they will catch me.
Yeah.
But, it was intense. And speaking of Angel, I don't know if Angel talked about it, but she was like leaping, she was, one foot was working. Only 1 foot was working, so she made sure only that 1 foot worked, and she jumped like 6 feet. I was like, holy crap. She went so far. I don't think they used, they didn't use what they, the one where it just looked like it wasn't possible what she did. It looked like she had a wire pull when, even though we had wires for safety, she did that entire jump, no problem. She's so athletic. I love it. And she's so excited to do it. She's like, let me do stuff. I'm like, yeah, let her do stuff.
Whose idea was it to do the Walker hand torch? Because that's probably my favorite part of the episode.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, that's, that was also kind of, I liked it for so many reasons. One, it was a scare, Angel was about to get pulled. There was that little moment, and then amongst everything, just Daryl going, give me that arm. It's like, sure, man, you got it.
Yeah.
So that was just our writers that they had that. But once you get something like that, once you get something that is that I thought was cool, you have to, our job is to how can we make this line even better? They gave, I had so many great lines and great scenes in this, and it's like, all right, how can I enhance it? So, so I look at this arm, I look at Daryl, the idea is that there's no question. It's like, all right, well, Daryl wants an arm. Surely he'll make something great out of it. So here, let's give the man an arm, He makes lovely ear jewelry. Yeah, he loves ear jewelry. So that's my I'm sure you can do something with an arm here.
It was a long hiatus, longer than usual, and a lot of fans were really worried about your character dying. And do you guys ever get worried, like when they're like, all right, so like 7 of you are going to be trapped in a cave and it's going to be a big cliffhanger? Are you guys like, oh shit, like, you know, someone is not making it out, or did they tell you up front?
Yeah, so I treat every like from the beginning of getting onto the show, like season 7, I just assumed every episode was my last. I just always go into that. But the point is though, is that like that doesn't matter. You know, we like the characters themselves, they know they can die at any second, you know. There's like a lot of like, oh well, you like Carol's her own woman. Why don't you go like that's you're all grown people too that can go follow her. It's like, no, we don't leave people behind. Not to mention if Carol gets caught, then that might be more deaths on our hand because they'll be like, oh, well, she came behind the line. Now you have to pay. So it was more than just let her be a grown woman and go after there. So but on this show, we know that we're every day, you know, you can die, you know, and it's like, so you treat it the same way as your characters would, you know, they're going to be, you know, plus that's at this point, you know, it's like, I've had so many cool things. I mean, I don't want to die. Trust me, I don't want to die. But like, if I'm, you know, this was the episode where I'm like, hey, Jerry's done good. He can, you know, this could be a good little end for him. So, but I played every moment. You know, Jerry's 100% willing to like just let it happen. You know, but not happily. He won't do it happily, but he'll, you know, he knows what he signed up for every time he goes into it. He knows what he agreed to, and so do I. So yeah, I'm on The Walking Dead. I could die at any moment.
So I'm gonna go all the way back. You were born in Long Island, and you did a lot of film production in high school. Is that right?
Yes. Which was but that was in Georgia. And I was born in Long Island, but high school was Georgia. Yeah.
But you didn't first start acting, right? Weren't you doing you were doing a lot of sound?
I started out doing stunts. My very first, that was what I got into, was doing fight choreography for, like, you know, in Atlanta. It's like 2003 2004, and movies are being made in Georgia, but not really to the extent that they are now. It was kind of how things were beginning, you know, like things were starting to get there, and I just happened to come in kind of at the right time. So I came in trying to do stunts and do fight scenes and stuff like that. And I had this, you know, I had like a team of like 6 martial artists, and we, you know, we did what we could. But, you know, it was a different time. We didn't like have cameras like we have now. We didn't have, you know, computers that can cut in, you know, in real time, you know, like it, you know, rendering used to take, you know, 16 hours for like a minute of footage. And so you can see it. So it was, you know, it was a different time, but then I started working on other projects. You know, like, oh, hey, can you do the fight choreo for this? But while you're there, you know, it's never just one department. Whenever you're doing indie, you're doing everything. And so I started learning different departments, and you know, learning about cameras, learning about sound, and then it got to the point where the sound mixer started getting more work, and he started calling me up, you know, because, hey, you boomed for me that one time. And so this guy, a sound mixer called Aaron Siegel, just started bringing me on to a lot of his shows, and I started learning about more about light, because now I'm working on bigger sets, you know, and so I'm learning about lights. I'm learning about how to set it up, learning about just, you know, more camera stuff, you know, and then, but now I'm starting to watch actors and directors. I'm starting to watch actors who are, you know, actors who I've seen, actors who I've like respected their work over the years, and I'm watching their process. And now, as a boom operator, I can be in those private rehearsals. I can listen to while they're in the room, not when they're off by themselves or anything. I didn't do any of that. But like, if they're in the room talking about the scene, I was there to be privy to it and get to listen and learn. And so I've always been that way. Even when I was on Walking Dead, during like season 3 and season 5 and whatever times I've fit in through there, I was able to watch Andy, watch Melissa just perform. And so that's how I learned. I'm like a greedy sponge, man. Yeah, second unit stuff. Always second unit. I was never on the main unit, but what that meant was though I was there for like 3 days out of the 5, working like the 18 hours because we had to cover like scenes over entire different scenes from different episodes. So as a fan, I'm like what is happening right now? Like when it was like season 5, I'm watching Glenn getting like run into the forest, and I thought he was getting eaten. I'm like, am I watching Glenn die right now? I was just like flipping out. I was there when I talked about this when Ross had his first when his hands were tied behind his back, and and Glenn saves him, and he gets like kicked against a tree. I was there that night shooting for that, and it was just, now Ross is like, is a great friend of mine, and I'm like, what a weird world, how everything's been flipped and changed.
You kind of had home field advantage a little bit when landing the role. Tell us about how, for those who don't know, how you got your role as Jerry on The Walking Dead after doing all the second unit stuff.
So they didn't know. A lot of the crew didn't know I was in sound. They had no clue. I was on I never, when I'm doing sound or doing anything, I never went, oh, I act also. I still, I recognize that I'm an actor, but I mean, I have so much that like so many actors, there's so many things where I'm like, I could do that better now. Damn it. Why did they let me do it that way? And you get frustrated. So like, when I watch an episode, I have like a month before I can't watch it again. Or I'll watch all the episodes, but I have to skip a lot of my stuff. Or I'll just start talking during my stuff because I just can't. I'm like, yeah, I know what I did. I'm sorry. I hate it. I'm like it's so I'm trying to work on that so I can get a little better at watching myself. But yeah, I mean the transition and learning from Walking Dead. So I'll tell a story. It was during season. This is also season 5, and during one of these second unit days, and Andy had to get into the front seat of the car, and the scene said Rick driving. No, there was no dialogue. I mean, it said other stuff, but Rick driving. And so I see Andy just like, I'm like, all right, he's just in the car. And then they're like, all right, pictures up, roll sound, roll camera. And then I just hear Andy just start yelling. Like he's just like pumping himself up. He's like, like just getting himself amped. And then I immediately take my microphone off, take off the transmitter, I pop them together, and I throw it into the car because I didn't prepare for this. I was like, oh crap. And so so I stick the microphone inside the car to get perspective with like maybe within 10 seconds of all this. And then he's like, and action. Silence. Nothing. Cut.
Oh my God.
But it was just this intent. He kept all that inside his eyes. All that went right into his eyes. And I was like, damn. And so flash forward, season 8. I'm doing we're doing the mid-season finale when Carl gets bit, and I get hit by the car. I have to do the same thing. It's the opening. So I'm in the car, and it's 1 a.m. I've been there for 12 hours at this point, and I do the same thing. I start doing the yelling. I start doing the whole thing, and then I just keep it right there. And then it was cut, and we got the scene. But literally did it 50 yards from where Andy had done it, and it was just super cool. So I had no idea how to do that scene, and I just reflected back from 3 years prior when he did it, and I was just thinking, okay, that was cool. So that was that was like one of the most full circle things I've had happen in this business. So
how did you land like the specific role of Jerry on the show?
Oh, of Jerry. So I did a show called Halt and Catch Fire, which was also on AMC for like 3 years. I think that helped a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'd done. Scott Gimple had told me I'd done. There was an audition. I think I read for Walking Dead twice before.
Oh, okay.
And I will say there were 2 characters that I didn't really want to read for. Like I mean, like I didn't. I was like, all right, these people look like jerks, but then when I get this guy named Lester, I was like, all right, this is weird. This is different. I'm like, this is The Walking Dead, and so I sent in 3 or 4 different versions of the character, of Lester, and I got the part. But when I do the table read, I do it the same way I did in the audition, which, by the way, I didn't like. I didn't like how I didn't like the versions I did. I didn't want to play it that way.
Yeah.
But I didn't. And then Scott was able to kind of like, I think he could tell because we had this Skype chat, and then he talked to me about the character, and he was like, the things that the big reason of why I cast you was because of your slate. When you smile, it makes me happy, and when you're not smiling, I'm a little scared. So maybe we could play that up. Let's try that, and that let me. And once he said that, that let me just. I'm like, all right, now fun can be had, and
yeah.
And because and my advice to a lot of actors who think about certain stuff, I have no idea how long I'll be on The Walking Dead. I have no idea. But the thing is though, is that I had to be ready to play a character that I would be happy to play for the next, how many ever years.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't like this character, if I didn't like playing this character, that would have sucked so much for me. Because it would have just been it would just be work, and for me, acting is not supposed to be work. It's it's how we make money. It's our job, but we could have done, there's other things we could do, but I love being to just express and get to kind of let myself loose in a little bit of way. And Jerry's such a great way to do it, and so between me, Scott, and Greg Nicotero, I feel like that's how Jerry kind of came to be, was between the three of us. So I always appreciate it. I always appreciate that because it's I love Jerry. He's just an awesome guy.
He is. Do you think you'd be that positive in an apocalypse?
No, I mean I'd definitely be. I'd always be optimistic. Trust me, but it's. I couldn't genuinely give that kind of comfort in those kind of circumstances. Trust me, I can give really great comforting things, but I mean, Jerry, I'm like, dude, we're it's like we're surrounded. I mean, just being in the cave. I mean, like that was even for him. It was like just move forward, just think about kids. We're gonna do this, and there's little moments that I was just like. I don't know. I'd be yelling at a few people at this point.
Some of the fans, and forgive me if it has been mentioned and I don't know, a lot of the fans just want to know what Jerry and Nabila's kids' names are. Are their names?
The boy is Micah, and the girl is Autumn. And the baby switched. I just met the baby, and I feel bad, but I can't remember the names. Because they're new this season, but Micah and Autumn, who play Ezra and Aaliyah, and I can't tell you how much I enjoy those two. Autumn is so sweet, and she definitely wants to. She was 3 when we were in season 9, and she just turned 5, so there's growth that I'm looking forward, that I was looking forward, throughout the whole season, getting to, see her with. So it's, because she changed so much in season 10 than from season 9. That was like super, I super enjoyed that. And Micah is this martial artist. He knows how to use a staff. He knows how to use the size. He knows how to use all these different weapons and can do all these kicks. So it's, for me, it's fun because I'm like, hey, that was me. I remember that. I remember me.
Back in season 9, we almost lost your character during this supply mission to get this projector bulb. Do you think they would have gone on that mission knowing that it was just for the movie Baby Huey and not like, Die Hard or something?
I do think there was Die Hard. I think it was, there's late night theater and then like day theater. And that was just,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I
was like, Baby Huey. We almost lost Jerry over this.
Yeah, no, there was no. Jerry doesn't die over Baby Huey.
So speaking of Negan a little bit, obviously he did those horrible things in the beginning of season 7, but he's obviously evolved. We've now gone like 7.5 years after that, I guess it's been. Do you think like someone like that can be forgiven?
Negan didn't just do this to Glenn and Abraham. He's done this to tons of people. I think the only path for Negan, like personally, you can't. I mean, at this point, if you're going to kill him, you should have done it. At this point, I mean, I don't see the point of him staying in Alexandria and why they just didn't keep him locked up. And it's no longer like a cautionary tale. It's more just I don't know. To me, he should be brought back in. He's clearly smart. He clearly knows how to fight. Clearly knows how to even take control of the situation. But his life needs to be spent just redeeming. He'll never be redeemed until he gives his last breath, in my opinion. As far as Jerry's opinion goes, though, as far as Jerry goes, if he was going to kill him, he would have done it on that field when he went up to help his neck with Avi, with Sadiq. Yeah, R.I.P. Oh, God, it was so brutal. I hated that scene. I love the scene, but I hated that scene. Yeah.
So Jerry's cobbler game is obviously on point. Is your cobbler game on point? Because I hear you sometimes bring it to fans at conventions.
I bring cobblers to every convention, and then if it's Atlanta-based, California-based, or anywhere I can get my hands on a kitchen, I will actually make the cobbler myself.
Wow.
Yeah, so we make a lot, and not just my wife will make some. We make, we've made like 50 cobblers before.
Oh my God!
And I just give them out. So it doesn't matter like people are like, oh, I couldn't pay. I'm like, I hate that part of the conventions. I really just enjoy meeting people. I enjoy being able to give them cobblers. So if they come up and say hi, it's cobbler, straight up.
Man of the people. Outside of making cobbler, working on The Walking Dead, and doing other projects, what else do you do when we don't see you on screen?
Oh man, like if I'm not working, I mean, film is my passion. I mean, I'm working on like a bunch of little projects, and I like working on my projects with friends and just reading what they've been doing, and I just enjoy kind of seeing what people are coming up with as far as film goes. But outside of film, I like playing music. I'm bad at it, but I like playing piano and a lot. And my wife and I are really into. We've been trying out all these green energy things. Like we've been doing a lot of composting and trying different forms of compost and gardening and kind of just cleaning up our act a little bit. I've been trying to figure out a way to kind of live a little bit of a greener lifestyle, and how for like the last, I don't know, like a year and a half now, we've been living like this. But it's, like people don't realize that if they throw plastic with junk on it, it won't get to the recycler. They'll just throw it into, if you have like a plastic tray with food on it, if the food's on it, they're just going to throw it out. They're not going to recycle it. And so I'm trying to figure out a way of certain things that and sort of give people tricks and tips so that they don't have to really go out of their way. Because the biggest thing, the reason people don't do this is because honestly it's just laziness. People don't want to take the extra time to do something, and I get it. I totally get it. There's no, I don't want to. You spend so much time, so that's why I'm bringing up. Like, what else do you do? It's like we do a lot of composting and gardening stuff because it takes up a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to do. And then once you're like eating your own, foods and veggies and stuff, and we don't, it's not like we have like a farm or anything, but we have like, a few garden beds in the front of the house, and, strawberries will be coming in pretty soon. You can see them leafing, but so a lot of that kind of stuff. I like just things that can kind of let me be at peace and meditate, because there's a lot of hecticness. I travel, I feel like I'm flying every 4 or 5 days somewhere, and it's hard to kind of just keep, just sort of keep breathing normally. So when I get time at home, I like to just, recycle, I guess. I don't know. That sounds so weird, but I do fun things. I do things, but most of my time is spent like writing or working on concepts, projects, storyboarding something, just, whatever film related stuff there is. I like doing that. It's I have a lot of fun with that.
Sounds like you're living the life.
I think I am. I know this is sort of where I wanted to see myself at this time of my life. So it's nice to know that my high school plans have worked thus far. So hopefully I'll have some kind of idea of what to do next. But yeah, I've got some things in the works that I'm trying to get going. So
what we really need is a Victor Vasquez spin-off movie, because you were great in Shazam, and it was so delightful to see you in that.
I appreciate you for saying that. Yeah, no, we're shooting the sequel pretty soon. So I am super excited. I'm also terrified to see how tall all the kids have gotten. I swear to God, if they're taller than me, I'm gonna be having to be on an apple box the entire movie.
Absolutely not. All right, well, that wraps up all the questions. Thank you so much for taking the time, Cooper. If you can just tell the people where they can follow you on social media.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I'm on. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Smug Orange. It's the name of a pet fruit I kept in the freezer. SMUG and the orange on Instagram and Twitter. And then if it's on Facebook, I don't think I'm verified on that.
What?
But it is the. I know it's weird. Let's just get on that. It will be verified this week. But it's I know. Forget Facebook. But the best Cooper Andrews. There are already other. I think there was like a real Cooper Andrews on there. Well, damn it. So I'll be the best.
The best
Cooper
over the
Andrews.
real. I love that you pick up the real one.
Yes.
That's fantastic. All right, Cooper. Thanks so much for talking to us, and hope to see you soon.
Take care.
All right, so that was my interview with Cooper Andrews.
A real like Harrison Ford type story with the second unit on the way to the cast type deal.
I know. I had no idea. Because he just casually mentioned it, and then I was like, wait a minute, you did sound for The Walking Dead? And he's like, yep. And I was like, what?
I love that he gets into it, and then because everybody forgets the sound, folks. Like, sound is probably they get not a bad reputation, but they get slighted. But sound is so important. Case in point with podcasts, but like your web series, your TV show, your film, like sound is vital.
And sound is the first thing that people notice when it's not good.
Exactly. And it's the first thing that people are like, well, we don't really need a sound guy if we're trying to cut corners. And like, no, dude, you do.
You do. And I'm just glad that he was able to tell a story. We have been killing it with the guests so far.
Seriously, great job to the booking department, of which there are several people.
It's me.
It's Johnny.
And my intern, Brooke. Shout out.
Shout out to Brooke. Still alive.
Still alive.
For now.
All right. That does it for Talk Dead to Me this week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Next week, we have the incredible Eleanor Matsura, who plays Yumiko. She's going to be our guest, and I am very excited for it.
Fantastic. Can't wait.
I can't wait to pour a glass of red wine, slip into a bath, and listen to her beautiful accent.
Oh, okay. That's one way of experiencing this podcast. Speaking of experiencing the podcast, make sure you guys rate 5 stars and subscribe to this wherever you get podcasts, and tell your friends. We really appreciate you guys as fans. We love doing this. We will see you next week.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
Happy birthday, Nate.
I just want someday, and he's going to be our white whale guest. I've decided.
I want
not Greg Nicotero, not Robert Kirkman, Nate.
100%.
1,000 people could come up and be like, I am Nate. And they would be like, yeah, sure. How high are you?
If you listen to the post-credit scenes on Talk Dead to Me, you just got an assignment for Comic-Con, folks.
Hey.
Cosplay Nate.
If Nate is at Comic-Con.